Penn walked the few feet back to her companion.
You good?
Yeah, I'm fine. Little shaken, but I've had a bit of practice dealing with that lately, so...
Chips piped up from the other side of the bar. As things played out, he'd been making his way back from a table.
No need to worry, little fella. Weren't in any danger. Nothing happens in my bar I don't want to happen. Spacer squirts like that are all talk anyway.
I appreciate it.
The tension in the bar faded quickly. Those that had stood reclaimed their seats, and the moseying conversation started back up. After a long moment, Penn cleared her throat and spoke.
Well, it was nice to see you, Chips. Might be some time till I come back around, so you keep well, yes?
You too, Penn. You'll always have a chair here, as you know, whenever you do come through. Same to you, Mr. Gareth. Hell, I've been seeing more and more types lately. Maybe I'll have something you can actually drink next time.
That means a great deal. I wish you well.
As the two exited the bar, Gareth saw the three spacers loitering by the other end of the alleyway. He thought he'd see a menacing look from his friend, but when he evaluated her expression, something that was still a conscious effort, she barely gave them more than a passing glance. The walk back to the main floors was spent mostly in silence. It wasn't awkward, though. Gareth felt no real need to fill the empty air. Instead, he enjoyed watching the architecture slowly shift back to new and more modern iterations. That contented silence was interrupted once, however, and not by either of them. The two passed an elderly woman whose gaze followed them as they approached. She almost croaked.
Don't worry, child, you'll be fine.
What?
Penn slowed and looked at the woman. Gareth looked around to see if she had been speaking to someone else, but it was only the three of them there.
Were you speaking to us, miss?
He asked.
I suppose.
Penn laughed the oddness away.
He's not a kid, he's a Wylan, like an alien species.
Well, that part was directed at you, young girl.
All right, haven't been called that in a while. Are you okay?
Penn looked the woman over. Her wiry gray hair was very poorly kept. As such, it came out at odd angles, exaggerated by her crooked posture. Beyond that, her clothes were a little odd as well. It seemed most of what she wore was hand-woven. Even her jewelry was handmade, and instead of refined gold or silver with gemstones or the like, it was all leather strips or string with colored glass beads.
Oh, I'm already past it. Lost what I lost, saw what I saw.
At the mention of sight, Penn realized that the woman's odd posture was partly because she was blind. As if aware of Penn's realization, she brushed her hair aside to make her eyes easier to view. They were like milky glass orbs, and her attention never settled on anything.
I'm sorry you've lost your sight, Mum.
Gareth said.
I appreciate the sentiment, little rescuer, but I see just fine.
She motioned with one bony hand to her clouded eyes.
They serve their purpose. You'll be the same way, girl. Need what you need till you don't need it. Losing what you need in the use of it for what it's needed for. But then there's no need for it. So it's all right. You'll be fine.
The first comment Penn thought to just let pass. Old women say odd stuff all the time. It could have been a fumbling of words or something, the ailments of age. But with what she just said, Penn couldn't move past it. She looked the woman over again and realized what she was. She scoffed, but Gareth spoke first.
Miss, I'm not sure I know what you mean.
Don't pay her any heed, Gar. She's a soothsayer.
A soothsayer?
A person who claims to be able to see into the beyond, or whatever. Which is it, lady? You talk to the dead, or is it the future sight for you? Maybe starbeams shine cosmic knowledge upon you.
Nothing so dramatic, young miss. I'm just a dumb, blind old woman. That's for sure.
She laughed mirthfully.
Well, at least you can admit it.
What?
Gareth looked to Penn for an explanation.
She makes her living by pretending to be able to see or know things with some mystic power or whatever. She tells people what they want to hear, and they buy it because they want to hear it. A dead relative wishes them well from the other side, or there's good things coming in their future. That kind of thing.
Is that true, miss?
Oh, yes. Plenty of people who want to hear something specific, and plenty of others who are willing to say it. Plenty of people who know things, plenty of people who don't.
Her attention landed squarely on Penn as she finished her sentence.
Really? We're still trying to sell the bit? I don't have any money for you.
Did I ask for money?
She cocked her head to the side. Penn rolled her eyes as the woman continued.
But I've said what I wish to, and you have things to get to, instincts to listen to. Keep well, young miss. You too, little rescuer.
Whatever.
The only instinct she was listening to right now was the one telling her how full of shit this lady was. Penn started to walk off.
Well, I'll be following my companion, but I apologize for her rudeness, and I wish you well.
Of course, dear.
Gareth trotted off to catch up to Penn, but the woman called after him.
Oh, remember not to lock your arms. It'll hurt a hell of a lot less.
Penn again scoffed and made a point of quickening her pace.
Don't respond. She's just trying to pull you in.
She was interesting.
That's one word for it.
With that, the two fell back into silence before they finally met back up with Deg and a few other crew members in the main open plaza.
How are you two?
All right.
Gareth spoke.
I got a very interesting look at human culture. A few aspects, actually, yo.
You'll have to share. I was actually quite fascinated to see how human technology fulfills the same needs as any other species, but its construction varies as expected. I've always found it funny how every species curates its tech for its own comfort and ease of use.
He started to trail off, speaking to no one in particular.
5 fingers, what a difference. Almost envious. Then again.
Penn stopped listening, though. A chill ran up her neck. She looked around. That warm tension in her abdomen grew. What was it? There was something wrong. She could feel it, but she couldn't tell what. Her heart rate rose, her body preparing for whatever it may need to do. Every signal she knew to listen to was being tripped. Every alarm bell in her subconscious was ringing. Faces. She needed to start scanning faces. She didn't know why, but that was a question for when she had time. For now, something had flashed through the lens of her eye, through the cones, through nerves and gray matter and synapses all the way to the very core of her brain. It was just like the bomb planted in the ship. She begged her mind to let her be faster this time. Subconscious recognition to conscious understanding. Citizens walked by. Smiles, colorful clothes, so much variety. Blue eyes, brown eyes, yellow poncho, nothing. Guards stood posted, relaxed but vigilant, weapons hung or were stowed. One guard caught her eye but offered a respectful and unconcerned nod, nothing. She did her best not to show her alert state. Indeed, it seemed she was the only one on edge in the entire area. Deg noticed her, though.
Penn, you good? Everything all right?
It would seem so, but
But?
I don't know. I'm on edge. Something isn't right, but I can't tell what. I've got a bad feeling.
All right, well, the ship should be ready to set out. We can get everyone together and head back.
Yep, I'll go check the ship. Get everyone there. I apologize in advance if this is just nothing.
Better safe than sorry, and with recent events.
Deg didn't need to finish his sentence. Penn may not have heard it, even if he did, as she was already headed back to the ship, desperately trying to dig up the little alarm bell that was ringing. She was searching every person's face as she went and must not have been doing a good job masking her attention, as she got a number of odd, insulted looks. Nothing clicked, though. Back at the ship, now in stellar condition, she went up and down the halls, checked rooms, ducts, the cargo bay. Not a single meter of the ship escaped inspection, but all was clear. She found nothing wrong. People were filtering back to the ship, and the unease Penn felt was fading. Thwill walked up as she watched the crew return.
Your people's technicians took a bit to get past the unfamiliar design, but once we got going, they were as good as I've seen. Deg says we're to jump away sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah, tired, I guess. Maybe just eager to get going. I'm going to head to my room, but would you let me know when Deg gets back?
Certainly.
Thanks.
Penn walked through the cargo bay and onto her room, rubbing the worry from her face as she went. She entered her room and sat down on her bed with enough force to cause her challenge coin to slip off her pillow into the covers. Her challenge coin. Had she really left it out? That wasn't possible. She'd never even placed it on another surface. It only ever went from her lockbox to her hand and then back. She leaned over and fished the coin out of the sheets. She flipped it in her palm. The swoosh of her door pulled her attention and she saw Gareth in the doorway.
May I?
Yay.
Dag is extricating zealous Tonnet from an equally zealous group of biologists. I figured I'd check in. Make sure the lights were all green. Did I get that right?
Yes.
She blew right past the colloquialism.
Hey, Gareth, did you take my challenge coin out of my lockbox and leave it on my bed?
No, I'd never mess with your stuff without permission. Besides, when would I have been able to? We were together the whole time on the station. And before you ask, I highly doubt anyone else would just waltz in and do that.
I know. It's just,
She flipped the Kion over again. The engraved three-headed dog looked back at her, worn and worried and chipped. It clicked. This was a Fireteam Cerberus Challenge coin, but it was not her Fireteam Cerberus Challenge coin. She shot up, raced over to her lockbox, and threw it open. There it sat. Slowly, she pulled her coin from the box. She turned to Gareth with both coins held up. Their confused attention was redirected when the door opened again and Deg walked in, already speaking.
Thanks, Thwill. Hey, Pen, I know we should talk about a few things, but on the way back I met a friend of yours. He had to sprint, but he wanted me to give you this little pager, wanted to be able to talk even if he couldn't in person.